Hey, how's it going? It's your boy Chiefs Rays Bolt here, joined alongside A'sRaidersDubsSharks as per usual. We got my boy Kasey here. We're going to talk about the Stanley Cup Finals because the matchup is set in stone. It is two Eastern Conference teams, the Montreal Canadiens and the Tampa Bay Lightning. The only reason they're playing each other is, well, if you're a hockey fan, you know, weird season, realigned divisions, and this is probably the only time in your entire lives that you're going to see this matchup in the Stanley Cup Finals. So
Yeah.
let's get into it. Casey, what did you think of the? Because you're a Sharks fan, what do you think? What did you think, just as a hockey fan, of the two semifinals series?
Well, on the Canadian side, I was very pleased to see the Vegas Golden Knights lose from my Sharks fan perspective. I'm very anti Golden Knights. Most, if not every Sharks fan is. I think it's very strange, like you said, that a Eastern Conference team is winning a trophy that they're never eligible to win. Out in the East, but I think the Islanders Lightning series went really well. It was a from a hockey fan perspective, very entertaining. I guess for you, probably, very nerve wracking, especially that last
Stressful,
game.
very stressful. Yeah.
Yeah. But from a hockey fan perspective, very, entertaining. Game sevens are always fun and exciting finish. But I think both series were very entertaining till the end. Yeah. How about you? How do you feel about it?
Well, I guess I'll start off with the Montreal versus Vegas series. Now, ever since Vegas became a team, I've always loved the whole theme of it. I've loved their whole the whole mojo they got going over there in Vegas. Like I've always thought it was so dope. And so like pretty much my dream final is a Tampa versus Vegas because that would just be I can't think of a better uniform matchup than that. I think
Yeah,
Vegas has the best uniform. I'm saying this is Lightning thing. I think the Vegas Golden Knights have the best uniforms in the league.
I agree.
So I would love to see a Stanley Cup final with that uniform matchup, and it's gotten so close now on three different seasons. This is three seasons now, and the Golden Knights 4 years of existence where both teams make the semifinals, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen again. But aside from uniforms and all that BS about why I like the Golden Knights, Canadians win. I didn't see that coming at all. The both of us kind of predicted that the Vegas was going to win that series. I mean, last video, the semifinal preview video, I was talking mad shit about the Canadians. Like, oh, they got such an easy path. The Canadian division sucks. Vegas in five. Vegas is going to clobber them. And it didn't happen. But what I will say is that in the games that I watched most of those games in that series. I thought Vegas was the superior team. I thought they outplayed, outshot Montreal in every game except for game five. I thought game five, Montreal outplayed Vegas. But other than that, I think Vegas was just overall the better team, and I can't explain why they lost. I can't. But congratulations to Montreal. Huge underdog story, obviously. They've been underdogs in every single series they've played so far. And I haven't looked at the odds, but I can only imagine they're underdogs in the Stanley Cup Final as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I gotta eat my words now because I was talking trash during the semifinals. No, I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it at all. Montreal just continues to prove themselves, and congratulations to them. They've made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. As
Yeah.
for the Lightning series, oh, what a roller coaster of emotions that was for me. Um, Game one, Islanders took. I don't know the full recap off the top of my head. So Islanders took game one pretty handily. I didn't think much of it. Lightning typically lose the first game of series. It's just something they do. Next game, the Lightning win. I think they went up 2-1, so they won the game after that. And then Islanders tie it up. I don't remember much of that game. And then game five, Lightning absolutely clobbered the Islanders 8-0. I mean, that was one of those games where whenever you scored a goal, you go from cheering to laughing the more goals you score. And it's very rare that you get that in hockey, especially playoff hockey. But when you do get those games, it's a fun night. It's a really fun
Yeah.
night. And that's what happened there. And then Islanders don't let that change the momentum at all. They go into the next game. They win it in overtime. Thank you, Blake Coleman for that turnover right there in front of Vasilevsky in overtime. Appreciate that. But no, the Game 7 was insane. I think most hockey fans enjoyed it. Most stressful 5 minutes of my entire life, though. And those last 5 minutes of that game, yeah, no, that was something else. But I'm just glad we won it. I'm glad that we're back. The boys are back. The Lightning are in the Stanley Cup Final for 2 years in a row, and it's something that I've been saying since the preseason. I did not think we would get to this point just because of how ridiculously hard it is to repeat in hockey. Like, it goes for any sport, really. But hockey is just the hardest, in my opinion, because of all the luck involved with the sport. I mean, you don't see puck bounces and bounces off the boards in certain ways, and the way that it comes off the stick and rolls on the ice. I feel like there's more luck involved in hockey than any other of the major sports. And that's why it's so hard. When one bounce could determine a game, and that game could go on to determine the entire series. You look at Montreal versus Vegas, when Vegas was about 2 minutes away from winning that game, and Fleury just turned it over right there. Montreal ties it, Montreal wins the game, and that just completely changes everything. But it's one bad bounce, it's one unlucky break, and that could be it for you. And so the fact that the Lightning have gotten back to this point, it's very, very impressive, and I'm so stoked about it. So stoked about it. I will... Okay, so I have a bucket list on my phone, right, that I came up with about a year ago. Stuff that I've always wanted to do. And on that bucket list, right, I get to cross off one of those items this Monday. I will be in attendance Game 1, and I could not be more excited for it. Obviously, attend the Stanley Cup Finals is on that list, and I'm so stoked to be there. I can't even imagine what the price is up in Montreal, 4,500 capacity or whatever that is going to be. All I know is that I will definitely not be traveling to Montreal anytime soon. I don't even think it's allowed by the government yet. But no, it's crazy. It's crazy. So, I mean, that's my take on the semifinals. This is a weird matchup. I did not expect the Canadiens, but to be fair, I don't think anybody expected the Canadiens. And I don't know. So, I mean, it's not like we have 30 minutes to just talk about 8 different matchups, right? We have however much time we can fit into one single series. So I guess I'll turn it over to you now. Here's the microphone.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you have to say about this?
Yeah, so obviously going back to, how our perspective on Montreal before the series. I mean, yeah, I think, there were moments in that series where Vegas played better. I think pretty much every game Vegas had chances to win. But I think the thing is like, I think Tampa Bay is obviously a huge favorite, and I think naturally by their record, by their strength of schedule this year. But I mean, they probably have to have a little bit of something in the back of their mind that's saying, the Canadiens just beat the Vegas Golden Knights 4 times, and that alone, even if Vegas did get unlucky in certain times, that's very difficult to do. And I think the goalie matchup in this series is so, awesome. I mean, Vasilevsky versus Price is that's one for the ages. 2 goalies that shined in the playoffs. Especially, I mean, Vasilevsky we already know is really good. Price we already know is really good, but we never really seen Price in these types of situations, like coming back in series and stuff like that. He really proved the good goalie he is. And I just think that goes to show how important goaltending is. And, you talked a little bit earlier about how Fleury made that mistake. And Price really made no mistakes. The goals he allowed were, goals that were meant to be allowed, goals that he couldn't prevent. And I think that, is the difference between a good goalie and a great goalie. And I know Fleury and Leonard are both very respectable goalies, but I think Price played like a better goalie. Now, for offense, I think Vegas had some really good offense from, Riley Smith, Alec Martinez. But, I think Montreal, I'm just to give my sort of prediction. I mean, obviously it's early, but I do have you guys, the Lightning, winning it. But honestly, there's a part of me that thinks that not that Montreal will win, but Montreal has a chip on their shoulder. And they've been down in series. They played, arguably the best team. I'm obviously not the President's Trophy winner, but Vegas was awfully close to winning that President's Trophy, and they beat them in a series. They beat them 4 times. I mean, the Sharks couldn't even beat them once. And the Vegas Golden Knights, obviously a very respectable team. I was happy to see him lose, but even part of me thought that Vegas, and obviously in our predictions video for the semifinals, I did say Vegas would win. But when you're rooting for a team, like I was rooting for Montreal, you kind of have a thought in your mind that they might win because you have that bias. And I'm just happy to see Montreal knock out Vegas. I think it's going to be a great series. I expect it to be, generally low scoring because I think, you guys beat the Islanders 8-0, but the Islanders goaltending in that game was terrible, right? But the goaltending in this series is going to be, near perfect. I think, we're going to have 1-0 finishes, 2-1 finishes, games going to overtime. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if there'd be 2, maybe even 3 games that go to overtime just based on the goaltending and how tight it's going to be. But yeah, I mean, what do you think? How do you think it's going to go in terms of like game flow, stuff like that?
For sure. I mean, you talk about these overtime games. Without a doubt, there's going to be at least one,
Yeah.
probably 2, probably 3. I've been saying it all playoffs. It's not the Montreal Canadiens that have gotten this far. It's Carey Price who's gotten this far.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to talk shit now because, I mean, obviously I have to respect the opponent here. But I couldn't even tell you who Montreal's like top goal scorer is. Like I know they have Cole Caulfield, who's like this super exciting young talent, right? They have Corey Perry, who, congratulations to him, it's his second year in a row playing the Bolts in the finals, and
Suzuki.
Yeah, Stars were very fluky. You know what? I don't really even know that many Canadiens players, but obviously they're making it work up there. They're making it work, and they've gotten to this point. Super impressive. I mean, I think all these games are going to be super tight. There's no way the Lightning have another 8-0 win again. That's just not happening. Honestly, like, there's not any part of me that thinks that the Lightning are just going to take this series easily. Like, Montreal has proven themselves as a legit contender, and they're a scary team. They have nothing to lose. The Lightning have that like stigma where they're like the top team. They're like the big dogs. They're the experienced, disciplined, just they're the pros pretty much here. And then you have the Canadiens, who have 0 finals experience. They are just always an underdog pretty much, and they're here. And so what do they have to lose? And those are the most dangerous teams when you get to this point, are the ones that don't have anything to lose. And so that's why there's no part of me that just thinks, Lightning in 5, Lightning in 6. No. If Montreal wins this series, then I can't even say that I would be shocked because they're a scary team.
Yeah, for sure.
But you look at times like this where the finals are this experienced team versus this young and upcoming team. And I was talking about this with Kasey here earlier today off camera about how there have been a couple of Cup Finals matchups in previous years where you have a very experienced team on one side and then a new, young, and upcoming team on the other side. You look at Pittsburgh and Nashville. Pittsburgh and San Jose, although San Jose wasn't very young, they had a lot of old people on that team, but they didn't really have that final experience. You look at even the Lightning in 2015. They were the new, hot, upcoming young team, and then you had the Blackhawks, who just won a cup about 2 years prior. So... almost, more often than not, it's the experienced group of guys that comes out victorious.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess that leads me to have to predict my boys. I mean, I'm not gonna. I have no prediction how many games it will go to, but I think more realistically than not, it's gonna be the Lightning that take home the cup.
Yeah,
I feel like at this point you've gotten this far. It's right there again. Like, why not do it? Why not go ahead and repeat? That's just the way I see it. It's like you've already come this far. Why not repeat?
Yeah. Well, we talk about I sort of analogy I see between this series and another series. 2019. I mean, okay, you have the Boston Bruins, who have a core of players that have experience, Stanley Cup experience, whatnot. And then you have the St. Louis Blues, who it's who would have thought they had a very talented team. Both teams very talented goalies, Tuukka Rask and Jordan Binnington, and it went to 7. and they pulled it off, the Blues. So I mean, I'm not necessarily saying something like that will happen for Montreal, but if there's a will, there's a way. And another one that kind of reminds me of is actually the 2018 Vegas Golden Knights versus the Capitals, Ovechkin versus a rookie team. But that's besides the point. And I think another thing is, obviously I've emphasized this before, but just the importance of, we've talked about puck luck and that, but I think that's what makes goaltenders so important. And I think that's why the Canadiens are here right now, because I mean, I guess there's a little bit of luck when making saves, but like, I guess you could, be lucky that a guy misses a shot wide open, or, your pad is just in the right position. But there's so much more puck luck shooting wise than save wise, because save wise, you have to be in the right position. You have to be, very quick reflexed, and you have to be able to, move quickly and, get the puck where you want it. When you're shooting, there's kind of ways you can, put the puck in the net and have luck. You can get a lucky bounce and stuff like that. And I think that's why the Canadiens, like you mentioned, like you don't know many of their offensive players, but I don't even think their offense is super important, because I think, they can score, they're going to score goals every game. They're not going to get shut out. And I think that's all they need. I mean, I think if Carey Price, locks down the defense, whether it be the Golden Knights or maybe even now the Lightning, I think, they can count on these Cole Caulfields, Nicholas Suzuki, Perry, all, can score. Because I think that's the interesting thing about hockey, is because if you have a great goalie, the chances are your offense is going to score, and you have to count on your goaltender to not make mistakes. And I mean, for the record, Carey Price, I guess maybe in that first series against Toronto when they were down 3-1, he definitely made some mistakes. But to be able to come back from that and then sweep Winnipeg, which, I mean, I guess when, playing Canadian teams is not really a fair comparison, because most, over half the division made the playoffs. But against Vegas, I mean, yeah, it went to, 6 games, but Carey Price made a lot of good saves, made hardly any mistakes.
And you look again at that Fleury mistake.
Yeah.
How different would the series have been if the Golden Knights would have just hung on and won that game? They could have gone to 7. Vegas could be here right now. It's a matter of I'm not gonna say a matter of puck luck, but it's just a matter of keeping everything together.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Vegas could have won that series, but I guess at the end of the day, Montreal just wanted it more, and they're the ones here right now. So
yeah.
I don't know, man. It's definitely an interesting matchup. Again, nobody saw it coming, and I guess only time will tell. What? I mean, who's gonna lift the cup at the end of the day? But
yeah.
Lightning did this 9 months ago. Hasn't even been a full year since the last finals. 9 months ago, the Lightning were right here at the point they're at, and it's not like they've forgotten how to play in the finals. I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just here, and Canadiens, this is their first time here since '93. I'm sure Caulfield wasn't even alive the last time the Canadiens were even here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I think this definitely, you brought this up a little bit earlier, but it definitely reminds me of that Pittsburgh 2-time Cup run, because they played teams that had never even been to the final.
2 years in a row.
And 2 years in a row, and they won both. But obviously, the Canadiens are the most winningest hockey team, but they haven't gone in close to 30 years. It was 28 years ago, and obviously last year they played the Stars, who went, but they went 20 years ago as well. So I think the Lightning have an advantage, for sure. I think it's just a matter of stepping up in the right moments. I mean, that's very cliche, but I think seriously, if these guys, whoever scores like consistently, like for either side, I think is going to help them win, because the goaltending is just, I can't emphasize how like talented both goalies are. And even last series, I obviously Fleury did make mistakes, but they had Robin Lehner, who's pretty good goalie. I mean, I don't think he's as good as Fleury, but Fleury, I mean, great goalie, but I think Carey Price really showed they wanted it more. And I talked about this in my recap, but I think Vegas is the better team. I don't think, I'm just going to go ahead just because, they beat them 4 out of 6. Montreal is better, but they played a lot more alert. Vegas played, I don't want to say lazy, but they didn't play like they wanted to go to the Stanley Cup. They played like they, were just in mid-season form. I mean, I honestly, that series, I know there was, a will to win, but honestly, I didn't see Vegas playing as the true potential they were. I mean, Vegas in the regular season was amazing. They very well could have won the President's Trophy. And in this series, I don't know. I just didn't see them as, I mean, they played great, but not to the elite level from a couple months ago.
And that's exactly right. Because, I mean, I watched most of these games, and
Mhm.
there is no piece of me that thinks that Montreal is a better team. Yeah,
Yeah.
they won the series. Yeah, they're the ones who won the 4 games. But just like on paper, like you look at all the stats from the game, Vegas outshot them in I think every single game except for one. Some of these games not even close.
Mhm.
Where would Montreal have been in these playoffs without Carey Price? Honestly, I think Vegas is a lot more of a complete team when it comes to like
Yeah.
roster talent, and goaltending is obviously great, but it just seems to me like Carey Price wants it that much more. Um, I don't know, man. Like I think Vegas was the much better team, but you're totally right. They played like they were going to be handed the cup on a silver platter. They
Yeah.
played like they weren't like they didn't seem like they were working hard enough for it. So
Yeah.
but it's all done, right? So I mean, Canadians are in the cup, Vegas isn't. At the end of the day, I'm happy that it's not a New York versus Montreal Cup, because that would be terrible. That
Yeah.
I mean, come on, Varlamov, really? All right, like, what would you rather watch as a hockey fan? Vasilevsky versus Carey Price, or Varlamov versus Carey Price? I mean, it's not
Yeah.
even close. It's not
Yeah.
even close.
Yeah.
Vasilevsky is consistently voted as the best goalie in the league by other players in the league. He's obviously Carey Price is like probably the best goalie in the playoffs this season so far, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well,
Vasilevsky has had an incredible run himself. All 3 series that the Lightning had the game clincher, they were shutouts. So and Vasilevsky has the NHL record. He has 4 consecutive series clinching shutouts in the playoffs, dating back to the Dallas Stars final last year. So
I
when the
didn't.
Lightning need to lock it down, they lock it down, especially Vasilevsky.
Yeah. Well, a thing with Carey Price and the Canadians in general, but they're a very young team, is they got a chip on their shoulder. Like Carey Price, he's been in this situation many times, and I think not Stanley Cup situation, but he's been in the playoffs a lot. And I mean, you've seen, plenty of other leagues, and a player that gets close every year that doesn't win, they want to win it so much more, like not necessarily like than the other team, but than their teammates. And I think Price being the goaltender, that's so important for him, because that's the most important position. At least in this series, you have Vasilevsky versus Price, and yeah, I totally agree with you. An Islanders versus Montreal final would have been lower ratings than the World Series of Poker. I know I commented that, but
Yeah, I don't see any situation where that's a fun series. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I
yeah,
don't think that would be fun at all. I probably would have watched more NBA finals. Hey, maybe who knows? Who knows? Maybe we'll do an NBA finals preview video, even though I'm not gonna know
yeah,
jack shit about it. You'll be the one doing all the talking. But
yeah,
no, if it were Islanders Canadians, I probably wouldn't have watched a single game other than maybe a bits and pieces of game one, and then whatever game the team was about to win. I didn't really
yeah,
care that much. Um,
yeah.
but what I was
Well,
gonna say was, like, you talk about the Blues and the Bruins. Bruins obviously the more complete team in that series. The Bruins being the better team on paper. The difference was that the Bruins didn't have Patrick Maroon. Patrick Maroon is now in his 3rd straight cup, and I think if you sign Pat Maroon on your team, you're pretty much guaranteed to be in the cup final.
yeah,
That's just the way I feel about it. And
yeah,
it's funny because I'll watch him, and he's the slowest guy on the team. He's like, right, he's not there to score goals, right? He's there to go and keep people on the boards, try to get possession of the puck and pass it around. He's he's a funny dude. He's a funny dude. I enjoy having him on the team, but he's not the type of guy that goes out and scores goals. But I mean, it's just funny now that 3 straight years he's been in the cup final. I saw this tweet earlier. Montreal versus Lightning. Winner gets the raise.
oh, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either until I saw the tweet. I was like, oh shit. I'm gonna have to be splitting my team with these these people in a couple years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think either way, I'm really glad that Vegas didn't make it for another reason, not only because I don't like them, but this is like the most historic, like weird finals because we have
Oh
East
yeah.
versus like that would be like if the Raiders played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Like,
Exactly. Yeah, it'd be really
you know,
weird.
yeah, and I think a lot of people don't really realize it because like I guess hockey's divisions aren't as like distinct, but obviously they're two Eastern teams and
They're
they won a
division teams. Like they're both in the
yeah
Atlantic Division in a normal year.
yeah yeah,
So
and they both won a the Canadiens won a trophy that they were never eligible to win. I forget what the one if you win the West is called. It's a
no, I
name,
don't
right? Is
remember either. Yeah.
like Campbell or something like that. But yeah, I think it's just crazy. I mean, I'm really glad we're having another historical final, because obviously last year was like kind of historical with like the
For
whole
sure.
COVID season. But yeah, I mean, well, let me ask you because I kind of felt this way when the Warriors were having a dynasty, and I guess I wouldn't consider the Lightning a dynasty yet because I guess they haven't won it yet. But if they win, how is your reaction going to be different than the first one? Because my reaction when the Warriors won their second and third was a lot different than the first. So how is your reaction going to be different?
Well, it's one of those things where you don't like you could picture in your head how you're gonna react, but until that
Yeah,
moment happens, you never really know. I'll
yeah,
tell you
true.
right now, when we won Game 7, probably the most ecstatic I've ever been at a sports game ever, watching on my TV. And I mean, it's not
Yeah,
like we just won the championship. No, we won Game 7 of the Eastern or the semifinals. So, but I was in a different world at that point, man. Like it just because we did this last year doesn't mean that the feeling is any different than next year. Like it's still one of those things, and I'm not treating any of it like it's gonna happen again. Like every single time that this has happened, and this is second year in a row now. Obviously, second time in 9 months. Weird, but I don't treat it any different than the last. I don't take any of it for granted. I treat it like it's the first time it's ever happened, and this is gonna be the last time it ever happens, because I don't want to
yeah,
make the mistake of being like, oh, here we are again, light work, right? No, no, because it's not like that. It's really difficult to get to this point, and I understand that very very few people get to actually experience this in their lifetimes, and so what
yeah.
I'm going through right now is super special, and every single game that I watch, I cherish it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess from an outsider looking in, it's definitely watching it. It's awesome to watch, but I don't have the exact same feeling watching. I'm happy for the team making it, but a little bit envious that my team can't get it together. But yeah, for sure, not taking it for granted is super important. I think I took the Warriors championships a little bit for granted, towards the end. So that was something I kind of regret.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, the amount of success your three teams have had in 2020 and
Yeah, yeah. No, it's I've tried to put it into words, and I can't. Like I
yeah,
can't describe just how insane it is, because it's not like listen, man. When I created my channel 4 years ago, nobody was like, "Oh, dude, all your teams are really good." Like, no,
yeah,
nobody said anything. More often than not, it was, "Dude, your teams suck." And so here we are, 4 years later, and all three of my teams are just super good. And it's. I mean, simply put, they will never all three be as good as they are at the same time ever again in my life. I guarantee it. This is never gonna. This is like the peak of my sports fandom. It's not gonna reach this peak again. Like it's just not gonna happen. But
yeah,
it's crazy. I don't again I don't even really fully comprehend how it's been happening. Like I can't fully understand it, because before the Chiefs made the Super Bowl 2 years ago, I had never seen any of my teams in a championship in my entire life, like even get to that point. And so to see all of these come together in such a short amount of time, it's truly insane. And yeah, it's like I know it's coming to an end soon. I mean, it has to, right? But maybe not the Chiefs. Chiefs will be good for a while. Lightning will be good for a while. Rays, I don't know about the Rays, but but
Yeah,
but it's special, man. And I don't, again, I don't take any bit of this for granted.
for
So
sure. Yeah,
I'm super stoked about it to be able to see this once again, see this, and honestly, it hasn't even hit me yet that we're back in the cup. Like it
yeah,
hasn't even hit me. Like it's just so weird. It's just so
yeah,
weird. That's all it is. But
yeah, yeah. Well, I can imagine Montreal fans are probably feeling
oh
just
yeah, for sure.
because they have a lot of their fans are kind of old heads, obviously because
Mhm.
they're like one of those classic teams. They don't really have like the bandwagon following. They don't really have a following like I guess the Yankees, even though they're kind of like the Yankees in terms of winning, like
Right.
24. But I think for them, this is just probably a really good moment. Probably they're very nervous because they don't have this experience and they're playing, the Lightning, who just fresh off a cup, not even a year ago.
Yeah, I
But
know.
yeah, I can imagine, they're very excited about it. People can see the jersey I have in the background. I'm not a fan, but, I, thought it would be a good opportunity. And I think, whoever wins this it's just going to be a great title. But as my prediction, I am settling in on the Lightning
And
because,
I gotta say the same,
yeah,
just because on paper they're so much better.
yeah,
No, but
yeah,
it'll be weird when you watch on TV Tampa's home games where you got pretty much close to, it's not full capacity. We're getting close to full capacity. It's like 80%, I think. It's gonna be so
yeah,
weird because nobody in that stadium wears masks. Like nobody there wears masks. It's just gonna be they're gonna be showing the crowd nobody wearing masks. Thousands of people, and then you go to Montreal and you have like 4,000 people, and every single one of them has a mask on. It just shows like the difference because like when I watch those Montreal games, it's gonna feel like bubble hockey all over again. It's gonna feel like
yeah,
I'm watching the 2020 playoffs again. But then you go back to Tampa, and it's like a totally different atmosphere. And so
yeah. And
the
I wonder,
Canadiens definitely don't have the fan advantage on their side, but they didn't against Vegas. Vegas was over capacity and still won. So I can't really use that as an excuse.
Yeah, I wonder if that'll have an effect because Montreal seemed unfazed. I mean, they played great in Vegas, and obviously the Knights, they have, just an influx of fans in these past 4 years, and
Hmm.
I just think, the way that they won it was just, they were totally phasing out those fans
Right.
that were cheering against them. So definitely going to be interesting, and yeah, it's such a difference. I mean, only 4,000 people compared to close to full capacity is just
For sure.
it's definitely gonna be a challenge for sure, and they're playing in a different country. So yeah, we'll see.
We will see indeed, and I guess that pretty much wraps it up. I don't think there's anything other than our predictions, which we've already gone over a couple times. So I think that pretty much covers everything. So that's gonna do it, I guess. Thank you for watching. Let us know your cup final predictions in the comments. Right? I mean, that's fun. It's fun seeing what everybody thinks. So I will see you in the next video. Kasey, are you uploading this on your channel too?
Yeah, I think I will. So
Okay,
I
so
want
I will see you in my next video. Kasey will see you in his next video. Chiefs Rays Bolts here. A'sRaidersDubsSharks there. We will see you later. Peace out.
to peace out, guys.